The thing is, I'm following it.
Yeah.
When I'm watching it, it's the recapping that I have a hard time with.
No, I'm on
like,
your team.
Things happened and it meant something.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is I'm watching The Rings of Power, Season 1, Episode 4.
The Great Wave.
Do you remember last week when I was like, they came to Atlantis? I didn't know how literal that was.
No.
I'm really enjoying this.
Me too.
It's not a perfect show.
No.
And I will say, if we're actually critiquing that, I do think there is something about it that feels a little teeny tiny bit hollow.
Sure.
I commented after the first 2 episodes, and I agree. Again, I really enjoy it. I like it. But it gives me slight camel qualities.
Yeah, I see that
From Parks and Rec, where they're like, a horse built by a committee is a camel. There is something about the corporateness of the production that I do feel.
It's also, it's like very shiny. And so it's like, I get it. I see the money that they spent. I like all of that. But it is also like, it's very like meticulously packaged to a T, to the point where it is a gift I am scared to open because it's so beautiful to look at.
That's actually a really good, I really like that. Because I was going to say, to the flip side, back to the thoroughly enjoying it, there's something really remarkable and really satisfying as a viewer watching this Fantasia just flow forth. Like, because the problem with fantasy, the hard part with fantasy and sci-fi is they can be so massive that it's so expensive. Mm-hmm. And it's sort of amazing watching something actually have what it needs. Because
it absolutely does.
Even something like Game of Thrones, when you go back and watch that first season, King's Landing is like a wall.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like
No, I totally get that. And I think my favorite part about the show is that it is giving me, I would say, like, conservatively, I would say it's giving me like 80% of the same exact vibes as the movies, which is what I love.
I'd go a bit less. I'd go more 70, but there's a texture.
Yeah, I think what I mean
in the movies.
Well, so that's I think something that might come, but because they're spending more time.
Well, I'm getting there with the characters. Yeah. So far, I've liked each episode more than the previous.
Yeah.
There's a moment towards the end of this episode where Arondir,
the elf?
Yes. Yeah. Where he's helping Theo escape, and Brownwind comes running in, and the orcs are falling, and I genuinely, from a place of emotion, went, oh no, because I thought something was going to happen to Brownwind.
We all did.
And I was like, I hadn't realized that I cared about her.
Yeah.
That was kind of...
I care about her like a factor of 1,000 times more than any other villager. They are all straight trash.
Sure. So Arondir met Adar, who is an elf with a bunch of scars, who's working with the orcs, and he sent Arondir on a message to the humans at the watchtower, basically telling them to fall in line or get out.
Yeah.
He told them to renounce any claim they had to the land. Turns out, I guess I did follow it. He told them to renounce any claims they had to the land, and they'd be spared, I guess, or...
I mean, they won't be, but that's the, like, party line. He is also played by Joseph Maul, who played Benjen Stark on Game of Thrones, which I thought was fun.
I was worried when they had Arondir. I thought they were... I'm obsessed, apparently, because I brought it up almost every time, but I know there is a type of orc that came from elves.
I think it's just the regular orcs.
I was afraid that's what they were going to do with him, and I was like, no, because
I think that's
I warmed up to him a lot, too.
I think that's what's happening to Adar, yeah.
Okay.
Which apparently means father in Elfish. And he's like, why are they calling you father? Which I thought was interesting.
Going back to Numenor, we opened with this... I really like Queen Mithril.
Yeah, she's great.
She's a very, very desirable counterpart to Gladriel's everything in the kitchen sink approach. Like, it's not quite everything in the kitchen sink,
but she is very, like, kicking and screaming the whole way.
Haldir or
Halbrand.
Halbrand kept comparing her to a horse.
Yeah.
And it was apt. It was apt, I tell you.
She was like, stop comparing me to a horse. And I was like, stop
acting
like one. Get out of here.
But I really, really enjoy Muriel's poker face.
Yeah.
Because she just... Galadriel is just going full Karen on her this entire... Like, can I speak to the manager, literally and metaphorically?
You're totally right. It didn't even occur to me until you said it.
Well, and Muriel is just sort of... Lady.
Please.
I am trying to help you.
It's also
read through my silence. It's deafening.
Exactly. It's like, I am literally begging you to use 1 ounce of common sense and imagine what might be keeping the king away from all of these important matters. Could it be that he is essentially dead?
So she's like, is it Woodrow Wilson? Was he the president whose wife was basically running things?
Oh, maybe.
I just remember the Drunk History episode where it was Courtney Cox. And he was he was breathing, but he was essentially dead.
Yeah.
And his wife was sort of like, I'll take these to him. Like, they were weekend at Bernie's and all that. But no, it's so obvious that Muriel and Elindi are sympathizers, are elf sympathizers.
Yeah.
And she's just not, although I do appreciate that she kind of got smacked in the face in this episode. I loved that smash cut to her being put in prison in the cell.
Especially because Halbrand was like, did you get into a tavern brawl too? And she was like, sedition. And I'm just like...
If Galadriel is kind of the worst in world, I'll fully sign off on it.
I think she's kind of, at this point, I think she's kind of meant to be. But you're totally right about like, where you can tell that Elendil and Muriel are elf sympathizers. And it's like classic teenager or like early 20s kind of thing with Galadriel where she's like, well, you're not saying it out loud. And it's like Lady Gaga performing at the Super Bowl halftime show was the statement. Like, it's like very that energy.
The fact that you're here is the political statement.
The fact that you weren't beheaded upon discovery is like the statement.
But we did open with this dream she was having where she was like blessing the babies, I guess. Mm-hmm. And the island was like...
It was like a tsunami.
It wasn't submerged. Yeah, it was like the water came crashing in on it. It was hyper realistic to the point that I recoiled not
both
once,
times.
but both times the water caved in on them. I was like, ah!
Also, I know it was a dream sequence, but it feels like shoddy workmanship on that fucking humongous monstrous built into the hillside.
Okay, I see your point and raise it that the wave was as humongous as that thing was.
Fair enough.
I did love her, like...
It was just sort of like, it wasn't even like, you know, when you see like earthquake footage, it was just like...
I sort of loved her, well, when she was being the queen, when it was like rumbling, and she was like, sometimes the island just needs to stretch.
Yeah.
You know,
Much like your infant children.
No, I really like that. So what was the deal with her father? It's just that he's old and dying?
I think so, yes. She's queen regent. Well, and also, but then I don't know. He opened his eyes really wide at the end as if he were lucid again. So I sort of think it might all be tied into the thing that Galadriel was like, if you forsake me and the elves, it will be to your detriment. Like the like blessing that you feel you have and like the tree that looks like the white tree of Gondor and everything. Like if you forsake us, this is what's going to happen. And so I sort of feel like it was what Muriel was saying where she was like, my father tried to do this, but the people were against it. And so he had to like backpedal really hard.
Sometimes you have to trick people into doing the right thing.
So I almost feel like when he backpedaled is when he deteriorated.
Okay.
And then now that she's embracing Galadriel.
Is it Pharazôn? What is his deal? I can't place it.
Yeah.
Because he like calmed down the crowd that was all rowdy in the beginning.
The elves are coming for your jobs. And I was like, there's literally one elf on your island and her only goal is to leave your island. She doesn't want to work.
We call him like we see him. I mean,
she doesn't want to do anything. She wants to get out.
But he like calmed the crowd, but then whipped them into a different frenzy.
Super weird. He also was wearing.
I love every single one of his.
He's not just a chancellor because they called him chancellor. He's wearing every single one of the guild badges. That's what all of these were. Was a badge for every guild.
Also, his blowout. I should be so lucky.
Bitch.
Ugh. Gladriel, they put her in prison. She got out. They looked in the magic orb that I recognize from Return of the King.
It was a little bit different. Those ones are
stunning.
Those ones are more like
into the vision.
onyx, but this was, Rachel called it looked like labradorite.
Mm-hmm.
They're called palantil.
And that's how Muriel showed Gladriel the vision.
Yeah, of the wave.
Because when they were going to let Gladriel leave, and when she was on her way back, or as she was leaving, the petals fell, which is a harbinger of
doom.
Yeah, and so she came back, and they're working together, and they're going to set sail to the Southlands in 10 days.
Yeah. And
look at me saying I didn't follow this.
And Halbrand has been released.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Before we move on, I love Galadriel's notion that she's like, I need to fight Sauron. You know he's evil. You know about him. I know about him. I need to fight him. And this guy's a king, and he's coming with me. I just like on the one hand, props for putting all your cards on the table. On the other hand, my girl, please, you're killing me.
He's into some of this.
Yeah, you're killing me.
Once again, you got to trick people into.
Please.
I'm not entirely sure what Aorian,
the sister,
what her deal is. She was observing a lot of things in ways that I couldn't peg her allegiance. And like I couldn't tell if she was like buying into it or if she was judging.
Well, she was judging the guy that Halbrand kicked his ass. She was judging him when he was whipping the frenzy, and I think she is like standoffish about Pharazôn. And then she also had a meet cute with Pharazôn's son, Kemen.
I don't trust that.
No. Also, her fucking boss at this apprenticeship is making her scrub the goddamn floor. Get out.
Next week, I'm going to show up with my hair just clipped.
Just in little...
Just clipped into the...
Just go to Joanne's and we'll get those little gold things.
And Isildur got kicked off of his Pirates of Narnia ship. And...
Prince Caspian.
And his friends got kicked off with him too, and they were really mad about it.
Well, he tried. That's the thing I hate. I hate the men on this show. I hate the men. I hate men.
I like Arondir.
Yeah.
And I like Elrond. And I like
Elendil.
Yeah.
I hate the men.
Okay. I like Halbrand, okay.
He's fine. Halbrand and Elendil are the only men that can stay. The rest of they're also boys. He tried to take, they let a rope go by accident.
Well, because apparently he tried to take sirens.
The fall. Yeah.
This is twice now that Isildur has been like pulled out by these female voices on an island being like, come to us.
He also took the full blame for that, and the captain kicked them all off, and they were butthurt with Isildur. And I was like, no.
I get the sense that that's not the first time. That's
fine. but also throwing it back in his face that his father is a sea captain, as if that's not how you get into shit in this time period.
There was also one of them uttered the phrase, hand me the chamber pot. I'm going to be sick. And I thought, that'll do it. Stick your head in a chamber pot. You'll get sick.
You'll get sick.
It was really, I was like, I didn't need that. I just didn't need that.
Also, I don't know why he was getting sick. Was it because he got kicked out of his job?
Yeah, because everything he worked for.
So the three of them are going to join the like protection of the queen and everything, which is, it's fine. It's whatever. I like my kingdom for the three of them to share no further scenes, because they're still going to be butthurt about something that Isildur is doing.
I mean, probably I'm not quite as... You heard it here first, folks.
In the trash.
Back to the Southlanders. They're running out of food. They're in their little hideout, which is going well.
It's like the Watchtower.
But
the elf
Theo
Watchtower.
Went out with his friend. It was misguided. There were orcs. He's the one you don't like either.
His name is Rowan. He's the one that called Arondir
Knife ear. Okay. Basically everything that every cliche that could possibly happen did there. Mm-hmm. So, of course, like, he ran into orcs. He still has the hilt, the evil sword. Yeah. And the orcs saw it and want it. Yeah. And he was able to... He still has it?
I think so, yes.
Arondir saved him. Yeah. And he still has it. And then the cook got weird with him, because the cook had it at one point. Yeah,
I don't know. And he was like, do you have a moment to spare to talk about our Lord and Savior Sauron? but while he was grabbing his arm. Yeah.
Okay.
So some of the people inside the watchtower.
Well, it's the whole sit at the right hand of the devil thing.
Yeah.
Which that's how that went.
Every single one of these villagers is not it for me.
I don't think Theo, I mean, he's not full trash for me. He's heading that way. I could see him.
Oh, the minute he finds out that Arondir is his father, it's going to be everyone's problem.
Yeah.
I hate to break it to you.
Then the two best characters ever created,
Disa
and Durin.
Yeah.
I love the dwarves so much. I cannot believe I am all in on the dwarves.
They're so great. Well, they're fun.
Yeah,
it's like
they're doing
fun
something
when we're with the dwarves.
And it just, different parts of this feel like Lord of the Rings in different ways.
Yeah.
But that feels like Lord of the Rings in its warmest way, in its warmest place.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'm here for the unlikely friendships between the
dwarves and the elves.
So basically the dwarves
I think this is it. I think this is what causes the break.
The rift.
So that when Legolas and Gimli become friends, it's like the first time an elf and a dwarf have been friends since this.
So the dwarves have a special metal. I forget what it's called.
Mithril.
It's what Frodo's sword is.
And the armor that he gets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I just assumed it was going to be what they make the rings out of. But
I thought so too, but I think they're just made out of like metal. That's just metal there, but they're imbued with magic.
Okay. Yeah. And that is what Durin thinks Elrond's there because he wants it. Well, because the elves want it. He was sent to get it. And to our understanding, Elrond had no
idea.
Gil-galad might, but
I think Gil-galad and Celebrimbor might know about it. But
gives me big.
I trust Elrond.
Oh yeah. I trust Elrond. Gil-galad.
No. Also,
he gives me like Republican in the 80s vibes.
I saw a TikTok that was comparing him to like literally any other elf that we've ever seen in the trilogy and this, and it's just like him. He's the king of the elves. That's the guy. Lee Pace was busy. I know he is busy, but like, come on.
Tom Lee Hiddlepace couldn't come in.
Yeah, where's JJ Fields? JJ Fields does not work as much as I think he should. He could absolutely have done it.
Considering how beautiful the show is, and round of applause, one of my favorite tropes. Queen Muriel had 4 dresses in this episode alone, which is that's just a thing of mine. Royalty should change clothes.
Queen Disa did not change clothes, but she was giving legs.
She was wearing the fuck out of that tunic.
Fuck off, bitch.
No, although it's so good, it's fine. And the dwarves don't quite strike me as
they're not quite
fashion forward as the elves or the humans would be. But back to your point, the Gil-galad, considering we haven't seen him since the first episode, I don't know why we're devoting this much time to him, but he was just like brown hair and a green.
You don't even have the courtesy to have a weird face like Hugo Weaving. It's just like a normal, like a Ken doll face.
Elrond found.
Well, he had to swear. He had to swear that he wouldn't tell. And then that's when Durin showed him.
Okay.
The Mithril.
And then there was a cave-in.
Okay. This is the thing I was excited to tell you about. I don't remember who the user was. My deepest apologies, but I saw a thing on TikTok about this show and how in episode 2, Disa was talking about resonating and how it's like where you should dig and where you should make a tunnel and where you should do this and where you should leave the rock alone. And that is how we're going to get the Balrog. They're not going to leave the rock alone.
Oh, so it's just a spoiler.
Oh. How else do you think they're going to get the Balrog?
I didn't know we were getting
No, they have to. No, that's in the trailer. The Balrog's in the trailer.
Yeah. Wiped that.
Sorry.
You're lucky. I was about to start talking about when they passed on the knowledge that winter was coming. And I was like, oh, that's the other. I went right into House of the Dragon mentally. And I was like, no, I thought it was like an analysis thing. You were just excited to.
No, it's just, I mean, it kind of is an analysis thing, but I thought it was so cool where it's like she is going to at some point probably, it's not for sure, but it's like.
It's a theory.
It's a theory that she is going to tell them, she's going to resonate and she's going to tell them that they need to leave a certain part alone and they're going to keep digging to get this Mithril. And it also could be the elves that do it, not the dwarves, because
Mm.
the elves, like, once Gilgalad and Celebrimbor find out about this metal, they're gonna want to, like, get
They're
more.
like, well, they're making time with this forge.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought it was going to be the shape of like a pizza oven, like the size of a pizza oven. This
Oh no,
thing
it's humongous.
is,
Yeah.
and I loved the like fantasy architecture
Mhm.
because they just it was just this
Scaffolding, spiral, Nautilus. Keep doing it.
Fibonacci.
Oh, so I said spiral,
Yeah, but like the crane.
and I said Nautilus.
Yes, but you didn't say it was the principle. It was like the architecture, because instead of like this like ugly scaffolding like crane being like, woo,
Yeah.
it was like they were working
Oh,
with
I see.
nature.
Yeah.
It was just really, I really appreciated it where I was like, oh, because we hear about these ancient civilizations that made these things. And we're like, how could they have possibly done that?
Because they weren't thinking with their asshole. They were thinking with their brain.
And slave
Also
labor,
slavery.
but-
No, but I did note that the scaffolding kind of curved around. So I did see the crane, but I know the scaffolding also was like curving, but also, I don't know. It was very neat.
It didn't blow the barn doors clean off their hinges, but they're open.
Yeah.
A horse could get out. I
It was
was like,
very cool.
go back. And I was like, man, I would watch just an entire movie, like a feature length.
Yeah.
Just about like a fantasy socioeconomic, like
Why not?
all the shots of the city.
So there was a cave-in. Nobody died. They got them all out alive. Disa did a really beautiful vocal. I suspect she was resonating. She also said she was like sort of speaking to the mountain
was just pleading to
and
it.
asking for it to like let them to release the ones that were still breathing. And so there were 4 people trapped. They all got out alive. Durin had a really interesting talk with his father.
Yeah, I didn't follow it.
As well. So basically,
Because I was with you, I just was like, oh, he's dead.
I thought he was dead because he only saw him from the back at first, and then he didn't. But basically, because Rachel and I both thought he was going to go like an angry direction, that he was going to be like, you'll listen to me if it's the last thing you do. But he basically was just sort of like, I trust your judgment if you trust Elrond's judgment. And he was like, I do trust Elrond's judgment. And he was like, well, you still need to go with Elrond to Linden, I think the place is called, and try to figure out if anyone else knows what's going on.
And furthermore, we all trust Elrond's judgment.
He is in a very similar situation to Galadriel, where he is naive right now.
Uh-huh.
Like, he is certainly 1,000 years old or whatever, but that is nothing compared to what he becomes. And so it's like, he has a lot of trust in his government and his elders and everything, and it's trust that's misplaced.
Well, and to go back to the first episode, the first line spoken, Galadriel was talking about how there was no evil.
Yeah.
And so it's like, they may not be capable of identifying deceit at this point.
Yeah.
And so I am all in all, I'm actually enjoying it a lot. I did that litmus test where when it was like the day before, I'm excited.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, I'm excited to actually sit down and watch it.
Me too.
So, yeah, I'm a little bummed. I read literally somewhere that there was like 20 episodes, and then it says 8. So,
well, it already is greenlit for a season 2, for sure.
So it's coming?
It will happen.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't say yet. I would imagine sometime next year.
So we're halfway through, and I'm a little bit like,
Yeah. I feel like I'm not gonna feel done.
No.
When it's over. So we'll see.
It's not the greatest thing I've ever seen or experienced, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
It's a really well executed high fantasy show, and that's what I appreciate.
If you're a longtime viewer and you keep watching,
you
keep watching us cover these mediocre fantasy shows and wonder what the fuck, like, because
Yeah.
I'm like, I love fantasy, and then I haven't liked a single thing. It's
Yeah.
like, this is what I want from my fantasy.
This is it for sure. It's just like someone has to be willing to spend the money on it. I do find it interesting, and I don't love it. I'd love to see how they keep rotating, but the last 2 episodes, I guess, we have traded out the Harfoots for the Southlanders, and I wouldn't hate trading out someone else for the Southlanders as well. I like the Harfoots. I missed the Harfoots in this episode.
I think that they're handling it.
They're handling it fine. I like the Harfoots. I want to see if they got left behind to the wolves. Wolf's head.
I wish I'd memorized the toast they did.
Yeah.
Okay, so let us know what you don't. Let us know what you think, and we will be here next week to do this all over again. Like and
Bye.
subscribe, Patreon, all that.